Hey, hi, hello, and happy Friday! We've made it through another week, and I'm kind of surprised with how I feel that the weeks are going quickly, especially when there's days of sprinkled sunshine in between. Those days have just been so nice to get out and feel the sun on your skin and smell some flowers. And of course, I still miss you all very much, but I'm very grateful not only to have our time that we listen to Harry Potter together and we still get to discover this story with one another, but also just to kind of feel that freshness of spring and feeling of summer coming. And yeah, okay. Well, let's get started. Where were we yesterday? Oh, Harry and Ron had just narrowly escaped the Slytherin common room, and they were running back, and they put Crabbe and Goyle's shoes outside the cupboard where they locked them, and I think they had just maybe made it to the restroom where Hermione probably still was. Let's see, where was I? They crashed up the steps into the dark entrance hall, which was full of muffled pounding coming from the cupboard where they'd locked Crabbe and Goyle. Leaving their shoes outside the cupboard door, they sprinted up in their socks to the marble staircase towards Moaning Myrtle's bathroom. Well, it wasn't a complete waste of time, Ron panted, closing the bathroom door behind them. I know we still haven't found out who's doing the attacks, but I'm going to write Dad tomorrow and tell him to check under Malfoy's drawing room. Harry checked his face in the cracked mirror. He was back to normal, but he put on his glasses and Ron hammered on the door of Hermione's cubicle. Hermione, come out! We've got loads to tell you! Go away! Hermione squeaked. Harry and Ron looked at each other. What's the matter? Said Ron. You must be back to normal by now. We are. But Moaning Myrtle glided suddenly through the cubicle door. Harry had never seen her looking so happy. Oh, wait till you see, she said. It's awful. They heard the lock slide in her as Hermione emerged, sobbing, her robes pulled over her head. What's up? Ron said uncertainly. Have you still got Millicent's nose or something? Hermione let her robes fall, and Ron backed into the sink. Her face was covered in black fur. Go ahead and pause here if you want to keep that picture on. I'll try to scoot so you can see, though. The picture itself is really dark. I wonder if I get closer if it helps. Her face was covered in black fur. Her eyes had gone yellow, and there were long, pointed ears poking through her hair. It was a cat hair, she howled. Millicent Bulstrode must have a cat, and the potion isn't supposed to be used for animal transformations. Uh-oh, said Ron. You'll be teased. Something dreadful. Oh, I'm sorry. You'll be teased. Something dreadful, said Myrtle happily. It's okay, Hermione, said Harry quickly. We'll take you up to the hospital wing. Madame Pomfrey never asks too many questions. It took a long time to persuade Hermione to leave the bathroom. Moaning Myrtle sped them on their way with a hearty guffaw. Wait till everyone finds out you've got a tail. And that's the end of the chapter. The next chapter is called The Very Secret Diary. And it's chapter 13. What a picture. Hermione remained in the hospital wing for several weeks. There was a flurry of rumor about her disappearance when the rest of the school had arrived back from their Christmas holidays, because of course everyone thought that she had been attacked. So many students filed past the hospital wing trying to catch a glimpse of her that Madame Pomfrey took out her curtains again and placed them around Hermione's bed to spare her the shame of being seen with a completely furry face. Harry and Ron went to visit her every evening. When the new term started, they brought her each day's homework. If I'd sprouted whiskers, I'd take a break from work, said Ron, tipping a stack of books onto Hermione's bedside table one evening. Don't be silly, Ron. I've got to keep up. said Hermione briskly. Her spirits were greatly improved by the fact that all the hair had gone from her face and eyes, and she was turning slowly back to brown. I don't suppose you've got any new leads? She added in a whisper, so that Madame Pomfrey couldn't hear her. Nothing, said Harry gloomily. I was so sure it was Malfoy, said Ron, for about the 100th time. What's that? Asked Harry, pointing to something gold sticking out from under Hermione's pillow. Just a get-well card, said Hermione, hastily, trying to poke it out of sight, but Ron was too quick for her. He pulled it out, flicked it open, and read aloud. To Miss Granger, wishing you a speedy recovery, from your concerned teacher, Professor Gilderoy Lockhart, Order of Merlin, 3rd class, honorary member of the Dark Forest Defense League, and 5 times winner of Witches Weekly's Most Charming Smile Award. Ron looked up at Hermione, disgusted. You sleep with this under your pillow? But Hermione was spared by answering from Madame Pomfrey, sweeping over her with an evening dose of medicine. Is Lockhart the smarmiest? Is Lockhart the smarmiest bloke you've met, or what? Said Ron to Harry as they left the dormitory and started up the stairs toward Gryffindor Tower. Snape had given them so much homework, Harry thought that he was likely to be in 6th year before he finished it. Ron was just saying he wished he had asked Hermione how many rat tails you were supposed to add to hair-raising potion when an angry outburst from the floor above reached their ears. That's Filch, Harry muttered, as they hurried up the stairs and paused, out of sight, listening hard. You don't think someone else has been attacked? Said Ron tensely. They stood still, their heads inclined towards Filch's voice, which sounded quite hysterical. Even more work for me! Mopping all night! I haven't got enough to do! No, this is the final straw! I'm going to Dumbledore! I don't think that's the voice I normally use for him, but I couldn't remember what it was. His footsteps receded as they heard a distant door slam. They poked their heads around the corner. Filch had clearly been manning his usual lookout post. They were once again on the spot where Mrs. Norris had been attacked. They saw at a glance what Filch had been shouting about. A great flood of water stretched over half the corridor, and it looked as though it was still seeping from under the door of Moaning Myrtle's bathroom. Now Filch had stopped shouting. They could hear Myrtle's wails echoing off the bathroom walls. Now what's up with her? Said Ron. Let's go and see, said Harry, holding up their robes over their ankles. They stepped through the great wash of water to the door bearing its out-of-order sign, ignored it, as always, and entered. Moaning Myrtle was crying, if possible, louder and harder than ever before. She seemed to be hiding down her usual toilet. It was dark in the bathroom because the candles had been extinguished in the great rush of water that had left both walls and the floor soaking wet. What's up, Myrtle? Said Harry. Who's that? Glugged Myrtle miserably. Come to throw something else at me? Harry waded across her cubicle and said, Why would I throw something at you? Don't ask me! Myrtle shouted, emerging with a wave of yet more water, which splashed onto the already sopping floor. Here I am, minding my own business, and somebody thinks it's funny to throw a book at me. But it can't hurt. Oh, sorry. But it can't hurt you if someone throws something at you, said Harry, reasonably. I mean, it would just go through you, wouldn't it? He had said the wrong thing. Myrtle puffed herself up and shrieked, Let's all throw books at Myrtle, 'cause she can't feel it. 10 points if you get it through her stomach. 50 if it goes through her head. Well, ha, ha, ha. What a lovely game, I don't think. Who threw it at you anyway? Asked Harry. I don't know. I was just sitting in the U-bend, thinking about death, and it fell right through the top of my head, said Myrtle, glaring at them. It's over there. It got washed out. Harry and Ron looked under the sink where Myrtle was pointing. A small, thin book lay there. It had a shabby black cover and was wet as everything else in the bathroom. Harry stepped forward to pick it up, but Ron suddenly flung out an arm to hold him back. "What?" said Harry. "Are you mad?" said Ron. "It could be dangerous." "Dangerous?" said Harry, laughing. "Come off it! How could it be dangerous?" "You'd be surprised," said Ron, who was looking apprehensively at the book. "Some of the books the ministry's confiscated, Dad's told me. There was one that burned your eyes out. And everyone who read Sonnets of a Sorcerer spoke in limericks for the rest of their lives. And some old witch in a bath had a book that you could never stop reading. You just had to wander around with your nose about it, trying to do everything one-handed, and—" "All right, I've got the point," said Harry. The little book lay on the floor, nondescript and soggy. "We won't find out unless we open it," he said, and he ducked round Ron and picked it up off the floor. Harry saw at once that it was a diary, and the faded year on the cover told him that it was 50 years old. He opened it eagerly. On the first page, he could just make out the name, T.M. Riddle, in smudged ink. And that's where we have to stop for today, because we are already over our 10 minutes. Have a lovely weekend, and I can't wait to keep reading and see what happens with you next week. Bye!